So today we're going to talk about getting started with Disney Vacation Club points. Yay! If you are currently an owner of Disney Vacation Club points, you can add on as few points as you would like. If you are not currently a DVC member, so you do not own any Disney Vacation Club points, you must get started with a minimum of 100 points if you purchase directly from Disney Vacation Club. If you are looking at purchasing your points from the resale market, you're kind of limited with the way that you can use your points. In my video on Monday, I talked about how I like to use my points to cruise. You don't have that option if you buy your points from the resale market. You don't get any discounts with your DVC membership if you buy it on the resale market. You also won't get a membership card, so you won't have access to the DVC member lounges. So there are some serious perks to purchasing your points directly from Disney Vacation Club. If it's your first time purchasing, you'll have to start with 100 points. And I think right now they're selling points at Aulani still and at the Riviera Resort. The current price of points right now is $193 at Aulani per point and $195 per point at the Riviera Resort. If you're interested in learning more about the cost of getting started with Disney Vacation Club, I will link to the cost calculator on the Disney Vacation Club website in the description box so you can learn more about the cost of getting started, the closing costs, and the annual dues. Anytime you book a reservation using your Disney Vacation Club points, there will be a $95 booking fee. There's no way around this. It's just the $95 fee just for using your points. After you pay your contract off and the closing costs are paid and the whole contract is paid off, there will only be one recurring charge, and that is the annual dues. I think are billed monthly, and they are based on the resort that you have purchased your points and the number of points that you purchased. When you buy your DVC points, you pick a home resort. Right now they're only selling home resort points at Aulani and at the Riviera Resort, and you can book at your home resort 11 months in advance. All the other DVC resorts you can book 7 months in advance. A DVC membership that you purchase directly from DVC gets you several discounts. I will put a link to all the discounts that you will get with your DVC membership in the description box. Some of them are really great discounts, like I talked about a 30% off some select Disney cruises in Monday's video, but some of them are smaller, like 15% off the Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour, or I think it's $25 off the Tables in Wonderland card. You can get discounts on annual passes at Disney World or Disneyland. Some of the discounts are really great. Some of the other perks are like the access to the DVC Lounge in Epcot, which is a really great place to charge your phone, to cool off and get a soda, to let your kids kind of relax or take a nap. It's a great place to go in the middle of the day when it's so hot or when it's raining outside. There are member exclusives, like the member exclusive cruise, the Disney cruise for DVC members. I've heard great things. There are also member exclusive merchandise options, so if you're interested in the Dooney and Burke DVC bag, you can't get that unless you're a DVC member and you show a DVC card. So it's not just booking cruises or booking vacations at the parks or using your points to stay at a concierge collection resort around the world. There are lots of other little perks that make your day-to-day life even just a little bit better. A lot of people wonder how to use points, or how can you use points when you buy them. So I've got 4 different scenarios here that I want to kind of walk you through. If you're going to stay at the Riviera, it's 2 adults, and you want a tower studio for 3 nights because you're going to an Epcot festival, which is great. That's what these tower studios are for. It's going to cost you starting at 33 points for the 3 nights. So if you buy 100 points, you could do that 3 times during the year. And that's a great way to use your points if that's all you want to do with your resort stay. If you're thinking that you want to stay for a week in the same room, the same traveling party, then 7 nights in a tower studio for 2 adults is 81 points for the room. So it's still less than 100 points for a whole week at a DVC resort. I've calculated all 4 of these based on the lowest travel season, and you can see that on the points chart, but prices do fluctuate during the time of year. Obviously, it's going to cost more points when you travel during the week of Christmas or Thanksgiving or New Year's. So it's going to cost less to travel in January. It's going to cost less to travel in September. It's really great to travel when other people aren't traveling because it saves you money and the crowds are lower. I've got a cruise here, 3-night Bahamian Cruise out of Port Canaveral in an inside stateroom. And this would be 100 points for each person. This is still a traveling party of 2 adults, but if you purchased the base package of 100 points, you would be able to bank your points and travel every other year for $95. You would be able to cruise a 3-night cruise on the Dream out of Port Canaveral, which is really cool. And the cash price for this same cruise is almost $2,000. So if you were going to pay points for one guest and then cash for the other, which you can do because you can combine points and cash, but you cannot combine points and cash on one guest. You can combine points and cash in one stateroom. How do I say that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was great. Actually, I didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's not just on the discount. You can combine cash and points in one stateroom, but not on each guest. So if you wanted to use 100 points for one guest and pay cash on the other, you could totally do that. And then you're paying half the price for that one cruise. I also have a 7-night Bahamian Cruise on this list, and the cash price for this cruise is just over $3,000 for 2 adults in an inside stateroom. But if you were to use points on this, it would be 200 points per guest. So you could borrow points and pay for one guest and use cash on the other, or you could bank points and borrow points to, you know, use points for both guests. But that's sort of a basic tutorial of how all the different ways that you could use your points. If you buy more points, you'll have more points to use. You can always bank points. If you borrow points, you cannot put them back in that year. So if I were to borrow points from next year, I will have them in this year now, and I cannot send them back to next year if I don't use them. So always keep in mind, only borrow the points that you're actually going to need and use. This is just the basic tutorial of getting started with Disney Vacation Club. If you decide that you want to buy more points from the get-go and you want to start with 200 points, you can totally do that. If you only start with 100 points and then a few years down the road you decide you want to add more, you can definitely do that. You always have that option. Sometimes you even have the option of buying points at a different resort. So if you end up purchasing points at Aulani the first time and you never stay at Aulani, and I'm guilty of this, then you never get to take advantage of the 11-month booking window. So if you decide later on that you want to add more points at the Riviera because you spend more time at the Walt Disney World Resort, then maybe you want to add more points at the Riviera Resort because you will be able to take advantage of that 11-month booking window there. DVC, like all timeshares, I think is a really complicated machine, but if you have any specific questions that you think I could answer, ask them in the comments. And I will link to the Disney Vacation Club website in the description box so you can learn as much as you can about Disney Vacation Club there. And I think that's it. So, you'll see me really soon. Bye, everybody.